Now, when I think of classic PlayStation 2 games that come to mind, when I think of just the PlayStation 2, some of the series that come to mind, of course, top of mind, first things I think of is Ratchet and Clank, Jak and Daxter, and God of War. Those are the three series that are my favorites from the PlayStation 2, and they still hold their own today, and they're still all absolutely phenomenal games. And just recently I played God of War 1, and then I also played Jak and Daxter, the Precursor Legacy, which I'm going to talk about in today's video. Now, Jak and Daxter, for those of you that aren't aware, is a platforming game. It's kind of an action-adventure platforming game. It's created by Naughty Dog, the same developers that started off with Crash Bandicoot. And it's funny playing through Jak and Daxter recently, how many similarities I noticed between the old Crash Bandicoot games developed by Naughty Dog and Jak and Daxter, just with how the actual gameplay is and like Jak's attacks and things. Like he's got a spin attack kind of similar to Crash's attack in the old Crash games, and just the way kind of how the game feels too. I noticed that it just kind of, you could tell it's a Naughty Dog game. And Jak and Daxter, the Precursor Legacy, is still a phenomenal game and still holds up today. It is so incredible. And like I said, it's one of the top games that I think of when I think of the PlayStation 2. It's Ratchet and Clank, Jak and Daxter, God of War. Those are the three series of games that I think of when I think of the PlayStation 2. Now let's talk a little bit about Jak and Daxter's story, because it is so funny playing through these old games. Like I've been playing through Ratchet and Clank Going Commando again. Haven't played that game in forever, and Ratchet and Clank Going Commando holds a very special place in my heart because it's actually, that was my first game on the PlayStation 2. When my dad got me me and my brother our PlayStation 2, he let us pick two games, and Ratchet and Clank Going Commando was one of them. So it was actually one of our very first games we got for our PlayStation 2 growing up. So I played through Ratchet and Clank Going Commando recently, and it still is so incredible. And I wanted to make a bit of a, I guess, relation to both Ratchet and Clank and Jak and Daxter, because they were both some of the top platforming games on the PlayStation 2, and the humor in both of them is unmatched. Like honestly, so many games nowadays, they don't have the same style of humor that Jak and Daxter and Ratchet and Clank had on the PlayStation 2. It's just, I found myself bursting out in laughter so many times throughout this game. Daxter's hilarious, and just some of the interactions between Daxter and Jak and some of the other characters in the game are just so funny, especially Daxter's wisecracks, and I find the art style and their expressions really top it all off. It's honestly such an amazing and funny game to play through. Now, at the start of the game, as you guys saw, Daxter was not always a furry little guy. He ends up getting pushed into Dark Eco, is what it's called, and then he ends up transforming into what you know Daxter as for the rest of the series. And at the start of the game, you end up running into Gaul and Maya, and they're both the enemies of this game, the bad guys. So they are infected by Dark Eco, essentially, and they have completely warped their minds, and they are wanting to use Dark Eco to take over. So then Jak and Daxter are set out on an adventure to collect all the power cells that they can, and precursor orbs also, because a lot of the precursor orbs you end up having to pay to get power cells. It's basically the precursor orbs are collectibles that you end up using to pay for some power cells from some characters in the game. So you definitely want to collect all the precursor orbs that you can, because then the more power cells you get, then the further you can advance. And it's very, very similar to Mario 64, really, in the fact that in Mario 64 you had gates where you needed to have a certain amount of stars to advance, and it's the same with Jak and Daxter. You have to have a certain amount of power cells to advance, and the power cells are how you advance in the game. So basically that is your objective: collect all the power cells, advance through, and try to save all the sages, because as you get further into the game, then you notice that a bunch of the sages are being taken over and captured by Gaul and Maya. So you're not only trying to take down Gaul and Maya, but you're also trying to save all the sages. So there is other types of eco in the game, which is blue, green, red, and yellow. And this is the blue eco, it gives Jak a speed boost, and also allows him to trigger certain things in the environment, like bridges will get electrified and created, and there's also these little capsules that are kind of in the ground, and then if you run over them with blue eco like you just saw there, then they'll be carrying a bunch of precursor orbs. So then the green eco is what heals Jak, and then you have red eco, which gives Jak a power boost to his attacks, and then yellow eco basically allows him to shoot shoot, I don't know if you want to call it fire or what you want to call it, but basically you can shoot out of his hands with the yellow eco, and then you can attack enemies from farther away. So those are all the different types of eco, and you have to utilize them through various different areas in the game. And there's lots of different areas to explore within Jak and Daxter, because that was kind of their claim to fame when Naughty Dog created Jak and Daxter, was no loading screens between areas. It was all fluent between areas, and that was what Naughty Dog wanted to create, because if you play the old Crash Bandicoot games, you're sitting through a lot of loading screens, and then you have kind of your overworld where you go from stage to stage, whereas Jak and Daxter is fully, I don't know if we want to call it open world, but you never have any loading screens, and you never have any overworld where you have to select stages. You just have to run there. You have to get there by foot. So it was back in the day super phenomenal for its time to have a platforming game like this, where there's no loading screens and no overworld where you have to choose stages. So it was back in the day, I mean, it was so ahead of its time. It's such a phenomenal, I guess, development for Naughty Dog to have created a game like Jak and Daxter, where it's just fluent between every single area. Now, there's also scout flies that you'll see I collect right here. So you collect enough scout flies in each area, and then you also will get a power cell. And in the game, I think there is 101 total power cells. I did not collect them all. I think I got 94 when I did my recent playthrough, which if you collect them all, then you get to see a glimpse of a secret ending. But I have collected them all in the past on my PlayStation 2, and I didn't really think there was much of a need for me to collect them all again. Now, maybe that's just me, but usually when I've 100% completed a game, then when I replay it in the future, then I'm usually like, I've already done it. I just want to play through it just to get the story and play through it for the fun of it. I'm not trying to collect everything or 100% complete the game. But that's just me. I mean, you guys have to let me know down in the comments if you guys are that way. If you 100% complete a game and then play it a few years down the road, do you 100% complete it again, or do you just play it through just to get the story? You guys have to let me know. And then there's also 2,000 precursor orbs as well to collect. So lots of stuff to collect in this game, and you do get a few trophies on the PlayStation 4 version, because this is what I was playing for recording this video, was the PS4, I guess, remaster or HD, I don't know, port. It's not great. I mean, you guys will have to let me know what your thoughts are on the PS4 port, because it's good, but there was a lot of frame rate issues I was running into with this PS4 port, that I didn't remember the game having these kind of frame rate issues on the classic PlayStation 2 original version. I mean, I still have the old PS2 disc sitting back at my parents' place with my PlayStation 2 that's collecting dust, and I don't remember it ever having the frame rate drop and the issues with just having such a kind of laggy frame rate dropping sections. Like, it seemed like there's certain parts of the game where there's nothing you can do. The frame rate just goes dismal, and it's so pathetic, and it's kind of hard when the frame rate drops so much to see what in the world you're trying to do. So you guys have to let me know if you've played the PS4 version, if you guys were experiencing this as well. Now, of course, I can't make a Jak and Daxter video without touching on the wonderful little celebrations that Jak and Daxter do every time you get a power cell. It just makes the game that much more goofy and lovable. Every single time you get a power cell, they do a little celebration, and I don't know, it really makes the game into something special. The little details like this are what make Jak and Daxter what it is and differentiate differentiate it from so many games out there. And I just love it. It's such a small little detail, but it's so funny because then later in the game too, when you beat the game, I mean, Jak and Daxter are dancing there as well. So the little details like that really make this game into what it is and make Jak and Daxter such a fun and enjoyable, lighthearted game to play. It's not only is the gameplay really, really good, but the story's great, the characters are phenomenal, and Jak and Daxter are some of the best protagonists out there as a duo of characters in any games that I've played as. When I think of some of the best duos out there, I definitely comes to mind. What comes to mind first is Jak and Daxter and Ratchet and Clank. Some of the best duos for protagonists in any games out there. Now, there is a few different areas to explore as well that change up the gameplay a little bit. It's not all just platforming and attacking enemies. You also have, like you guys saw earlier there, Jak does get a grab zoomer is what it's called, which is basically this hover bike from Kira, one of the other protagonists in the game. And it's basically just a bike you get to ride around on certain areas. When you hit the lava stages, it's a good transport to get you from one area to another. And there's a few areas where you do have some power cells to collect where you are riding around on the grav zoomer. The grav zoomer is at first was a little bit difficult to get used to, but once you really master the braking and jump braking, like I would jump and then slam on the brakes, you actually will brake in midair too. So once you kind of master all that, then it gets really, really easy to use and makes it so much easier to get all the power cells when you have to use the grab zoomer. Now at the start of the game, you end up cracking open an egg and then Flut comes out of it. And you end up actually having to use Flut a few times throughout the game, which is this flying bird-like animal. And it's it's kind of funny. You end up hatching the egg, and then it thinks Daxter's its mom. And then basically you end up actually needing to use Flut a few times throughout the game. So those were two kind of little things that they did to change up the gameplay from just being a platformer, which is honestly really, really refreshing. I mean, you're doing some platforming and collecting power cells, and then you have some grab zoomer areas, and then a few small little areas where you have to use Flut. You don't really use Flut a whole bunch, but it's small little things like that that change up the gameplay and keep it refreshing as you're playing through the game. Now, of course, I'm a big music guy. If you guys have been around on the channel for a little while, you know that if a game has a good soundtrack, I'm going to talk about it. And the soundtrack on this game is phenomenal. The music just suits every environment so well. And I just love having a good soundtrack in a game. It really tops everything off. If you have good music playing in the background that makes you feel a certain way as you're playing through the game and changes up your emotion and your mood, as you're playing through certain parts of any game, it really changes up the environment. I mean, if you're taking down a nasty boss, you kind of want an epic theme to go with it, right? To make it feel that much more heroic when you take him down. And if you're going through a little bit of a spooky or dark spot, a dark cave or whatever, you want the music to reflect that. And this game, just the music suits it so well. Every environment, the music and the soundtrack suits it so well. And I love the little tune it plays every time you get a power cell. That never gets old. For some people, maybe they do get a little annoyed of it. It's the same tune you hear over and over and over for, every single time you get a power cell, but it doesn't get old. I just love it. I love their little celebration they do. And playing through Ratchet and Clank Going Commando recently too, there's a funny little part. There's a few Jak and Daxter references throughout the game, but in Ratchet and Clank Going Commando, there is one part where you do end up, it's near the end of the game, Ratchet and Clank end up doing a little celebration similar to Jak and Daxter, and it's the same little tune that plays in the background. It was such a awesome little reference. When that part happened for me when I was playing through Ratchet and Clank Going Commando recently, I just remembered all the funny references they made to Jak and Daxter, and it's incredible. I love it when games reference each other. And back in these days of the PlayStation 2, so many of these PlayStation exclusive games, there was lots of little references to each other, and it really tops off the experience when you play different games from the PlayStation 2. Now we're at the last area of the game where you have to free all of the sages, and then they end up helping you to be able to take down Gaul and Maya. So this is basically the end of the game. This is where Jak and Daxter end up getting to the final boss fight, and the final area just was really, really good. I mean, the platforming was lots of fun. It was more difficult than a lot of the other areas, as a final area of a game should be, and it was really, really good. A good final area for this game to top it off before you take down Gaul and Maya in the final boss fight. But anyways, I absolutely love Jak and Daxter, the Precursor Legacy. It's so incredible. I remember enjoying Jak 2 and Jak 3 a lot as well. I think I played Jak 3 the most. Now, I'll have to see which one's my favorite now, because I was pleasantly surprised playing through Ratchet & Clank Going Commando recently. Even though it was my very first PlayStation 2 game, it always felt like I always felt like I leaned more towards Up Your Arsenal. Ratchet & Clank Up Your Arsenal, the third Ratchet & Clank game, was my favorite Ratchet & Clank game ever, so I need to replay that one as well. But Going Commando, so incredible. I have a new appreciation for it playing through it now, and after playing through the first Ratchet & Clank game, because the amount of improvements they made with Ratchet & Clank Going Commando was phenomenal. So when I get to Jak 2 and Jak 3, I'm going to see what the differences are and see how it fares up against my memories and my nostalgia. So definitely, you guys can definitely expect some videos on Jak 2 and Jak 3 coming in the future, because I absolutely love Jak and Daxter, one of my favorite series of all time, one of my favorite platforming games of all time. And they're just such an incredible duo, and it really sucks that Naughty Dog completely scrapped it and moved on. I understand why they did, because there really wasn't a whole lot more they could do with Jak and Daxter, and they wanted to move on to other projects. But it would be incredible if Naughty Dog would create a Jak and Daxter remaster for the PlayStation 5, or remake. If they were to remake these games, it would be incredible. Or if they were just to do a full-on remaster and actually have the frame rate run steady instead of these ports, these PS4 ports, then that would be absolutely incredible. But I highly doubt it's ever going to happen, but a guy can have some wishful thinking. So anyways, like I always do, I'm going to let the end of the game play out here. So I hope you guys all enjoyed this video, and if you did, leave a like, subscribe for more, and I'll see you all in the next one.
They must not be allowed to get it!
White Eagle! That could be the stuff to change me back!
Or it might stop that robot. Stay fuzzy, save the world. Choices. Okay, fine. We'll save the world. But do it quickly before I change my mind.
Well, it looks like I may have been too hard on you boys. You do have what it takes to be heroes.
But Daxter, now we can't change you back.
Don't worry about me, baby. You know what they say. Big things come in small packages.
Jack, you have an incredible talent for channeling Eco. Samos, you may have been right about this one after all.
And Kira, without your help and ingenuity, none of this would have been possible. Perhaps we've found another sage now that Gaul and Maya are lost.
Yes, Gaul and Maya. The Dark Eco probably destroyed them. Probably.
Ah, who cares? Bring 'em on! We can take 'em again, right, Jack? I said, right, Jack? Wow! Put it on ice, big guy!